Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Greetings, I'm Nick Dugdale-Moore from UFI. Welcome to our first UFI Connects of this year. I think it's our number 36 in total. So just that intro song there, I asked our moderator, Stephan, to choose a song that summed up 2020 for him. And yeah, Highway to Hell. So no further comment necessary. So just some brief housekeeping. I'm going to hand you over to Stephan, who'll take you through today's session. We will ask 3 or 4 polls from you, so watch out for that. And if you want to ask any questions, please do so in the chat. And then either myself or one of the UFI moderators will unmute you, and you can hopefully get the chance to ask your questions directly to the panel afterwards. So yeah, very fortunate to have, we're going to be led by Stephan Forseilles is going to moderate this session today. He's the head of technology and digital transformation for Easyfairs. Supporting him will be Tesi Baur from MBB Group and Gunnar Heinrich from Adventics, who are all on our digital innovation committee. But I'll hand over to Stephan now without further ado, and you'll hear more from me later. Stephan.
Thank you, Nick. So yes, I was responsible for choosing Highway to Hell as a summary of 2020. But I have to say that also said I would like to choose Stairway to Heaven as I hope a summary of 2021. Let's see at the end of the year. So hello everyone, and thanks for attending today. What we do today is what we call the big digital debate. We've done it several times. I will start sharing my screen so you can see what it is about. There we go. And the big digital debate is something that we have done quite a lot of time with Tesi, Gunnar, and also sometimes with the help of Johan. So basically who we are 4 people from the exhibition industry, and these are people I'm very fortunate now that I can call friends. And as a lot of time, often friends like to argue with each other. And we generally argue in very interesting places. We've done this type of debates in Verona, Johannesburg, Tokyo, Bangkok, etc. And generally it happens like that on stage. So the principle of the digital debate is that one of us gives a statement, generally quite provocative statements, and then one of the other ones is agree with it, and one of the other one disagrees with it, and then they both expose their arguments, and then we ask the public to vote. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to come back on some of the arguments that we had in the past, and we're going to check if we were right or wrong, and if the crowd was right or wrong, and we're going to ask you for some of them. What do you think? Is it different from when we looked at it 1, 2, 3 years ago? Or is it still the same? There's no change. No change. So I propose that we start with the first statement. If you are ready, Gunnar and Tesi.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the first statement that we said that I want to go back to today is that our industry is only doing a pseudo digitalization. What do I mean by that? I mean that a lot of industries have been completely turned around and Uberized, as we call it, by digital. And I give here some example of companies that have Uberized an industry, but it never really happened for the trade show industry. And a lot of people I was discussing with, they say, yes, but they don't say it like that, but I call it, we are protected by the power of face-to-face. People will always want to meet face-to-face. So there's no danger that digitalization Uberizes our business in any significant way. But then something like this happens from time to time, and we cannot meet face-to-face, and we have to go digital. And even after this is gone, which hopefully I hope is not in too much time, will people want to go back to where they were before? Will people be ready to get on planes and travel again for 5 hours to spend 1 or 2 days at the conference or at a trade show? I don't know that. Some people say yes, people cannot wait to get back to meet face-to-face. And some other people say, maybe not. If you see what people like Bill Gates say, they say that even after the pandemic, business travel will never be back at the levels it was before. And so there's a discussion there. So I will ask the question to Tesi first. Do you think, Tesi, that we are still only doing a pseudo digitalization? And maybe after that, we will discuss about what will happen after.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Stephan. So I think when we discussed this question for the first time, I actually can't remember anymore if it was Verona or Johannesburg. The answer was relatively easy. Yes, we only do sort of digitalization, and we saw it in the result. 90%, I think, said yes. We don't do real digitalization. The answer now is much, much harder. We had different phases in the Corona crisis. I think first, when we moved into the crisis, everybody was totally shocked. The old business model suddenly was disappearing. So we all had to move into proper and serious digitalization, how we understood proper and what proper and serious digitalization is. So in some way, this was a really healthy shock for the industry, that we have to approach that topic suddenly in a very, very serious way and gain a little bit of the way we were falling behind in the years beforehand. But then it came out that the industry is very divided and the conversations are very divided. I think we are lucky that we have a couple of good platforms in the industry, but many companies thought digitalization is choosing the right platform. Yeah, and as soon as you have chosen the right platform, problem is solved. So people were not thinking about a digital strategy. People were not thinking about a digital journey. People were not thinking about how to embed the digital offer into the offer we normally have, and that hopefully comes back. And then now in a second phase, and then I hand over to Gunnar. I think now we see that digital events can't deliver what face-to-face events deliver. Many exhibitors really can't wait to go back to exhibitions. And I think this is a big mistake. I hear a lot of voices who are using this fact that digitalization can't deliver what face-to-face can deliver to say, see, I always knew it, there's nothing above a trade show, so we don't need digitalization anymore. So, and that would be really a mistake not to see the chance of digitalization, only because exhibitors are really can't wait to come back and think we will go back to the old normal, because there will be no old normal. There should be something where we enhance our model, our great model, through a digital offer. But I'm concerned that not all people see it like that.
Completely agree with you, Tesi, in all points. Definitely the pandemic helped to accelerate the efforts of all of our industry to move quickly forward with this digital initiatives. But still, I think there's a long way to go. You're talking about platforms. I cannot see really platforms. I see a mishmash of different solution mosaic pieces which not really fit well together. There are very good solutions out there, but they need still to be integrated. They need a good data foundation based on. We will discuss it maybe later also if it comes to artificial intelligence, where we need it for. And so there is still a long way to go. And if we talk about digitalization, it's often still misunderstood, the concepts. It's not enough to talk about digital if you have a digital video stream or a digital broadcast studio. Just the technology is digital, but the revenues often don't cover the cost which is in there. And it starts to become digital if these content streams are moved towards, let's say, YouTube. They make money out of it. They profile the visitors, which other movies and which other content they have seen, and they make money, and they make a lot of money. So we have still a way to go to build a proper strategy about our digitalization. But I think we are on a good way. So it's management has understood that it's really important to invest not only in technology pieces, but in the overall strategy.
Yeah, so some would say that you are not really digital if you're not making comparable amounts of revenues with digital and physical, which is very, very far from the truth at the moment. I'd like to bounce back on one of the things Tesi said, is that exhibitors cannot wait to get back to trade shows. That's what they tell us. But then we have people like Bill Gates who say it's never going to get back to the level it was before. I understand for exhibitors, because we see it also in all of the polls that we made and in all of the other organizers I discussed with. What people say is that as far as trade shows are concerned and exhibitors, they are not really happy with the return on investment and the return on time they get from trade shows, because they don't get enough leads mainly. So yes, exhibitors cannot wait to get back to trade show, but is it the case for visitors? If we say that late 2019, we were at 100, okay? Late 2020, we probably were at like 2 or something like that in terms of revenue from the events. Where do you think we will be late 2021 and late 2022, Gunnar?
I think we will see a decrease of visitors without a doubt. But I still expect, and all the surveys we are doing and we see at our clients, we would expect, I would say 70 to 80% of the visitors still showing up. There's a huge demand coming back and making business, but I think only the real or the people who really want to do business will of course show up, and so the quality will rise and the quantity will decrease a little bit.
Yes, let's hope it's not just like sometimes we hear from trade shows, we had less visitors than last year, but the quality was much better.
Yeah, but you will have to prove more and more.
Tesi, what do you think? When will we be at the end of this year and end of next year?
I think also we will get to 70%, hopefully. I've seen some statistics that it will be also different from target to target group. It's that the old visitors or the older visitors need a little bit younger. The younger visitors can travel a little bit or feel quicker, happy to travel. International shows will need a little bit longer. Local shows will kick back a little bit earlier, and so on. But I think this is to achieve this 70% of the visitors. We really need to underline in the industry a post-crisis USP. I think it will not be enough to say, hey, guess what? Pandemic is over. Show opens again. Welcome back. So we always had in all our statistics 10 to 20, sometimes 30% of the exhibitors and visitors who were critical, who said, do I really need to donate my time? Do I really need to donate my budget to come to the trade show? And this critical part of the target group will more likely become more critical. So we will need to work hard to get these 70% back by the end of the year.
Yeah, so we should not just wait for them to come back with our arms open. We should give them a good reason.
Yeah.
So now I'd like to ask you, audience, what you think about it. So if Pascal can start the first poll, and then I will show you what the audience thought when we presented this. I think it was the first time in 2018, but we asked it several times since then. So let's see, let's give it maybe 30 seconds to see the answers. So you think about 80% of you think we are only doing a pseudo digitalization. Okay. So I just want to ask, can anyone tell me if the slide is on screen? Should be the case. Yes. Okay. So what the audience thought was yes, 90%. We are now yes, 82%. So even after all of the efforts and all of the online events and migration to new platforms and things like that, it's still not very digital. We're doing everything online, but without being digital. So it's a bit of depressing thought, but we still have a way to go. And I think it gives work to people like you and me. Okay. So if you have questions, remarks, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat, because we can take 1 or 2 questions or remark if you want to say something and say, I totally disagree because of this or of that. We are happy to hear, of course. So the next topic I wanted to look at is that we are providing an outdated customer experience. And so whenever I have to speak about this topic or talk about it, I always take this example of a trade show where if I want to get an account on LinkedIn, Amazon, or Google, accounts that I will use for my whole life, mostly, or my adult life, it takes me 2 minutes or 1 minute to get in there. But if I want to visit a trade show where I will maybe spend 3 hours or 1 day, I have to go through an incredible amount of data to fill in, for example. That's just an example of an outdated customer experience. Another example is that we are very happy when we see this at the entrance of a show, and we have a huge crowd of people who want to enter the show. In the same time, people like Amazon, they are launching shops where you can just go in, take what you want and go out. There's no cash register or anything to stop you, compared to experiences. So people tell me, yes, but we do online events. No, so it's totally different. We provide a better experience. I'm not sure we provide so much of a better experience in online trade show. Do we do it just because it's an innovation and because it gives a better customer experience? Or do we just do what I call a cookie cutter of the existing live events and just try to transpose them online? So that's the next question. We used to say that we provide an outdated customer experience, and I will show the result there because I think it was totally related to, of course, physical event when we asked it last year. But in terms of digital events and online events, Tesi, do you think we are still providing something outdated compared to, I don't know, a Facebook, a TikTok, or any other platform that we could use for interacting together?
The answer to that question is still clearly a yes. We are still providing an outdated digital experience. The only difference is for the first time we have an excuse for it, because this year everything had to go very, very fast, and we were pushed into this situation extremely fast, and we had to react extremely fast. And that is actually a quality of what all the show teams around the world has done. We reacted to this pandemic extremely fast. I think the first hybrid events were online in April, and then they went get better throughout the year. So yes, we are still providing an outdated digital experience because we had to react so fast. Now and also it was done by people who were not thinking about digital beforehand. So all the show teams, they are experts in conducting trade shows. They are not experts in conducting hybrid events. So I would be much, much more forgiving on that point than we have been the last time when we discussed it. But coming back to the question beforehand, it can't stop there. So we need now take the time and make it from that moment really better to see how important it is digital to keep in contact with the customer and also to make money ultimately with this additional to the trade shows. So yeah, we have an excuse. The excuse doesn't take for long. So now we become better in digital experience.
Yeah, absolutely true. That's right. And it's really impressive how our industry make things happen so quickly, and this is really outstanding. And this makes our industry. I think we can really organize a lot. And on the other hand, what's quite impressive, even if here are some IT and digital guys listening, what we have seen that not always these departments make the solutions happen. So, but also the show team, the exhibition teams themselves, they looked around for solutions, and they picked cloud solutions, plugged them together, and made it happen. Sometimes completely in parallel, beside the traditional digital and IT departments. So that was a lot of speed going up, and often beside the normal organization path which was meant for. And so this is really impressive. And yes, if it comes to outdated customer experience, this is still true. If you pick an outside solution about a virtual event, they often have a pretty good UI, and so it looks nice. You can work with it quite well, but still it's not integrated with your existing systems, like your registration system, your follow-up system, your polling solutions, and your content management. So it still needs to be plugged together. And to be honest, guys, we have seen a lot of digital exhibitions, which 3D models of our exhibition booth, which I think most of us think is ridiculous, because I'm not sure if Amazon ever tried to make a UI with bookshelves where you can walk through and look for your books. So I think they never tried from the start, but we did, and there is also some things to learn, but we are on a good way.
And it proves that when there is a will, there is a way. Okay, and because of this pandemic, we removed a lot of inhibitions that we had and then we could innovate much faster than we did a year ago. The question is, will we keep doing that, or will we go back to the old ways and say, you know, that we go back to live exhibitions, we have to take care of this again, and this before, and this, and I have to make my sponsors happy by collecting a lot of data and registration and things like that. So there's a danger to that. There's a remark from Garrett on the chat who says, yeah, but you compare Facebook and Amazon with the registration to a show where they will collect a lot of data over time, but we have to collect a lot of data upfront because we only have one occasion of doing that. Well, why don't we collect data all along? If we are digital and we have a relationship with these people over the whole year, and people interact together on our platforms, why wouldn't we be able to collect less data upfront, let them in with a very low hurdle, and then collect more data? What do you think, Gunnar?
I think that we also should use technologies like so-called progressive profiling, which all the others are doing. It's not the way to go anymore to make a survey while buying your ticket and then using only this information, but it would be much more wiser to combine this information with publicly available information from data providers to enrich everything, to also use the on-site behavior during an exhibition to profile the buyer more and more. And I think we can learn a lot of these digital platforms like Facebook and Amazon, and what we can do with progressive profiling. Have a look.
Okay. Tesi, you want to say something on this one?
Yeah, it's very strange. Gunnar and I are agreeing all the time with each other. Normally, when I say good
only
morning,
this time, Tesi, only this time.
Normally, when I say good morning, Gunnar says I disagree. But I have to agree with him again. I think we can do a lot of progressive profiling, and we can see what people are doing when they are browsing the exhibitor directories. We could see how long they stay on each exhibitor profile and which product they are interested, if they want to have a meeting with the exhibitor or not. So that would be also always possible. And the best practice that you offer something to a user only when it's relevant to that user in that point in time, that stays the best practice. If the user is on an Amazon website or on a trade show website, doesn't matter. It's a best practice in both cases. I think what we are lacking are the data scientists, and we are lacking the technical possibility to do this progressive profiling. Yeah, okay. So that is exactly where we need to get better with.
Yeah, I agree. And we must move on. But one of the things I always found very strange in exhibition and collecting data in exhibition is that 90% of the time, you start from scratch every time, even if you've been visiting that show 5 times already in the previous year. So it's a bit, let's hope that changes a little bit. So let's go to the third topic. I will share my screen again, if you bear with me 1 second. There we go. And the first statement was that online events are a risk for a business. Some people said before the pandemic, when some people were already organizing online events, you are just, you know, sowing the branch on which you are sitting. I don't know how to say that properly, but it's a very dangerous thing, because if you put everything online, then people will not come to your events anymore. I don't agree with that. I always take the example of music. It's not because I listen to music at home that I don't go to concerts anymore. That's the opposite. Being able to experience a network and exchange with people and get information before the event should only give me more, I would say, motivation to go to the show. I often take the example of TED. TED was a relatively small conference 15 years ago, and then they decided to put everything, all of their content online, and people said, you are completely crazy. Nobody's going to come to the conference, especially as it was a very expensive conference anymore. The result of that is that TED became one of the biggest conference organizers in the world. And I love that quote from Jeremiah Owyang, who is a very well-known entrepreneur and an investor. He says that innovation is doing something new that solves customers' needs, but is in conflicts with your current business. So these online events, if we keep doing them in the future, are they a risk to the live event, or are they something positive for the live events? Tesi, what do you think?
Okay, so my answer is relatively easy, and the answer is yes, they are a risk, and this is exactly a reason why we can't ignore them. And they are not only a risk, they are also an opportunity. It really depends how we see it. Is the glass half full or half empty in that case? In the exhibition think tank, we did a questionnaire and we asked, what do you think will exhibitors shift money away from their show budget? And the answer was that people who answered it think they will shift around 20% of their show budget away from the stand to a digital product. So if that is true and that is happened, the second question simply is, will that money go away from our revenue streams? Will that money be spent with Google, LinkedIn, or any other websites? Or are we clever enough to offer digital online events so that the money might go away from the stand budget, but stays in the company because they're booking our digital products? So yes, online events are a risk. They are an opportunity. We can't ignore it. For that reason, we have to make them better and better.
Good.
Yeah, I also see more, let's say, more the opportunity side if you do it right. I think organizers should also look for clever alliances, not doing everything themselves. So why investing in a broadcast studio? Why investing in camera technologies and in video mixers and so on? Put yourself together with TV studios and so on. So there are maybe new alliances on the way. If we leave the field of online events to those companies who are, let's say, have more experience, then probably we are lost. We will see our revenues be shifted towards these companies. But I think there is a very good opportunity if we manage the communities of our shows, that we can offer an additional value. But my credo is we have to prove that we can do this. And if you see at the moment the job opportunities in the marketing sector, my feeling is every second job is about performance marketing, and if you can control all of the other marketing channels like Facebook ads and Google and online things and email marketing and social media, whatever, we need to have the same measurement in place for our live communities, and to combine it with the online formats we do together. And if we then can prove the value for our customers, I think we are in a very good position to see it as an opportunity.
One of the things, one of the biggest interesting things and potential revenue in online events, I think, is the data we collect from them.
Of course.
Right? Because it's much easier to understand the dynamics of a community, who is interested in what and who is discussing with whom, and what products are the hottest in the industry when you do it on an online platform, not on a live platform. There are ways to do that, but it's either very sketchy or it's very, very hard to put in place. And I think that's one of the reasons why we see so much investment in the platforms at the moment. If you've seen the tons of money that companies like Hopin have been getting in the past months, it's huge. And one of the questions I often ask is that who do you think should own all of this data of what's happening in these online events? And that's who should and who actually owns the data. Do we know that? Is it the platform? Is it the organizer? Is it both of them? Who can get that data and use it in the future? What do you think, Gunnar?
At the moment, it's very funny that the platforms we draw into our business models, they use the data to a much more extent than we do ourselves. We often don't have a clue, or the traditional organizers don't have a clue how to use this data, but the digital companies, they use that as a real treasure to have this data. If you look at many organizers, they still have these damaged data silos. So you have your registration system, you have your web analytics, you have your polling systems, you have your survey systems, you have your app behavior, but you can't combine it, or they cannot combine it at the moment to build a proper profile and to make money out of these profile information. And at the moment, the platform providers, they are much more advanced using them. And I have seen in the chat also the old GDPR discussion. Are we having a disadvantage while we are in Europe have to deal with the proper data privacy laws, and maybe other companies like in China or Asia, they have an advantage because they can enrich data and use it to a much higher extent. And we also discussed that in the past, and we said, yes, maybe on the short term, they may have an advantage, true, but even in the midterm or long run, we will see that the European model is more solid and will have an advantage.
Tesi, on data ownership?
In my past, when I worked for show organizers, I always said very, very strongly, actually, the show organizer should own the data. It's really the holy grail of every product is to own the data. For the good of the wider industry, I think whoever is able to build meaningful and valuable services for the user should own the data, because this will protect our industry as a whole. So, and that is my whole answer to it. Theoretically, I don't care who owns the data. I care about the service that drops out of the data. So if the show organizers are not able to do that, then somebody else needs to do it. Otherwise, our industry will fall behind.
But we agree if it would be better if it was us.
Yeah, of course.
So maybe we can launch the next poll, which might be the most important of the whole session. Is do you think that online events are a risk to our business? If Pascal can start the poll. I don't know if people can see the result in real time, or if it's just me. I see that about 67% of people think, so 2/3 of you think that no, they are not a danger. So it's a good thing that you think they are not a danger, but still it's only 2/3. So I think it's something we have to keep an eye on, and I'm especially worried about that data ownership and future of data, because right now it's all about delivering the events, but at some point we will want to start building product lines on top of this. So let me share my screen again and ask you about the next topic. I'm getting faster at this. Yes, there we go. So in terms of digital innovation, private organizers are faster than the large, usual, I would say, old-fashioned organizer. It's true that last year, everybody had to pivot very fast to online events. Everybody had to jump on a lot of platforms, and some of them were already existing. But let's be honest, some of them were at least not existing in that area, and they had to come very quickly to the online event, and some others were just created from scratch very quickly. Some of the best online events I've participated to were not organized by regular trade show organizers. They were organized by large companies like Salesforce or Apple, or they were organized by people who say, when I was discussing with people from, I don't know if we have anyone from Web Summit in the audience here, but they say they're not the trade show organizer, they're a software company that happens to make trade show. And so what is it about the traditional organizers? And when we look at all of these events, the educational/inspirational events seem to be doing relatively okay. When I look at all of the polls and all of the surveys that are done, these are the ones that gets the best results from the attendance. But everything which is about transactional, nobody seems to have cracked that nut yet. So what is it first about these digital companies like Apple or Salesforce or even Web Summit that they are better than us at organizing online conference? And what is it with transactional? How can we make transactional actually work online? Because it doesn't seem to be the case. What do you think, Gunnar?
Well, I think that traditionally we have seen that the private organizers are, let's say, more dynamic in their approaches, or also if they bring in innovations and so on. Now also let's say due to the pandemic, also the traditional organizers were forced to bring some innovation, and we have to see we talk about a completely other budget situation, because the traditional organizers, they are often state-owned, and they get they are very good protected by if it comes to the financial situation, while private organizers they are really how do you say, battling to survive, and even if they have no money and no budget left, I think that's really an admirable a job to be admired, because they launched very quickly on platforms, they built joint ventures, they even launched new show formats, and even if it's a small company with 30, 40, 50 people working in it, they did a brilliant job. And again, it's all about survival for them. But in these times, also the big traditional organizers, they could bring up some more speed, also due to the different budget situation.
Tesi?
I think in that case, we really need to change the question. In the past, we asked who is quicker, the traditional or the private owned exhibition organizers. And I think the question now really has to be who is quicker, the exhibition industry or the new kids on the block, the guys who even were not in the exhibition industry beforehand. And we looked for hybrid events I think it was in July or August. We really had a deep look on what are the best hybrid events we can find worldwide. And of 4 best practice cases, only 1 was from an exhibition organizer. 2 came from companies. There was Apple and Microsoft, so the companies we would expect to be an exhibitor, and 1 was from a French company who never organized a face-to-face exhibition. They only organized hybrid events, and they used the word exhibitor, they used the word visitor, but they meant something totally different when they talked about an exhibitor than what we mean when we talk about an exhibitor. And that comes back to the 20% of the budget that might leave the marketing budget to fund the exhibition stand. So where do these 20%, if it's 20%, where will these 20% go? They will go to the companies who launch quicker, better digital online events. And this is at the moment not companies from the traditional exhibition industry.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying. What is it about us organizers that makes us?
And it's also, it's not only worrying, because it's also heartbreaking, because who has access to the right target groups? It's us. Who has a name in the industry? It's us. Who has an exhibition who could be used as a marketing for the hybrid events? It's us. So purely when we are on the starting line and go for the marathon run, we are in the pole position, but still the new kids on the block outperform us.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying. And the second point was that we see quite a nice return from education and what I call inspirational events, where we have keynotes online and things like that. It seems more difficult to make it work for really trade show, and that was discussed in the chat as well. The satisfaction of exhibitors at trade shows seems less than the satisfaction of attendees at conferences. What could we make to crack that nut of transactional online? What is missing? Is it impossible to do, or are we just taking the problem by the wrong end, Tesi?
So I think one thing what we really need to learn is when we plan exhibitions, and these are often 3 days event, then we know exactly that our visitor comes with 3, 4, 5 different objectives. He wants to buy, he wants to observe the market, he wants to see what the competitor is doing, and so on and so on. I think a big difference to an online event is 45 minutes to an hour, and people come only with one objective to that online event. It might that they want to learn something, it might that they want to network, or that they want to buy it. And we need to learn to pivot our format to a way that we always serve this specific objective. Only this one objective people normally have with their online event. That's a big different way to roll out a service to your target group than serving 4 or 5 objectives through a 3-day show. And when it's transaction, then there must be a USP. We are currently doing mass events saying, here's a product, hopefully 5 people sign up. That is a KPI I'm going after. It has to be a different KPI. It has to be only that maybe you show only 3 products, but these are the most exclusive products the industry at the moment has to offer, and you limit the registration. You say I let only 100 people into this transactional online format, and then you also change the dynamic of that online USP. But these are the lessons we really have.
Yeah, it comes back to the cookie cutter approach, where we just try to translate what we used to be doing since 20 or 50 years for some of us into online events. Gunnar, what do you think?
I really think it's super difficult to bring an exhibition format and traditional trade show format into the online world. What we have seen, what is really working well, is all the conferences and the big seminars, and this is working quite well. But not for the exhibition industry. We have seen so many things from Asia, from Europe, and big exhibitions who was forced to move their traditional shows to the online platform. But to be honest, this didn't work so well.
No, it's not easy.
I remember one thing, the famous Frankfurt Book Fair, which takes place every October, normally attracts 300,000 visitors. They have 7,000 booths and exhibitors. And this year it was a complete online, or nearly complete online format. And there is a good old tradition in Frankfurt that they, after the exhibition day, every evening, the real important people, the editors and the company owners, they meet in a 5-star hotel in the Frankfurt Hof to sit at the bar, and there the big deals are made. Of course, you know, the big deals are made at the bar. And
yes, of course.
And this year they had a special online format for the Hof online, where people should mix their gin tonic and sit in front of a Zoom meeting. And you can imagine this completely doesn't work, and it will never work. Even the idea to transform it to a Zoom meeting is ridiculous.
Yeah. So that cannot be replaced. I'd like to touch on a subject now that is completely different, and that's the next statement. And I will share my screen again. There we go. Is that artificial intelligence will change our industry completely? So some people say that the advances in AI will be as important for humanity as the invention of fire, the wheel, or electricity. Of course, we've seen a lot of terms related to AI appear in our industries, and there've been trials on facial recognition. People use deep learning and machine learning. Everybody is trying to implement big data and data lakes, etc., etc. Also, in these new platforms that we've seen emerging, a lot of them, well, some of them actually use artificial intelligence. I suspect that some of them also say they use artificial intelligence, but it's not really artificial intelligence. So we would expect that artificial intelligence would have been even more important in 2019 than it was before, and that it would change our industry even more. Did it actually happen? Was artificial intelligence the miracle tool that everybody was expecting? Tesi, what do you think?
I think this message that artificial intelligence will change our industry is as true as it was last year. It becomes maybe even a little bit more true. It's at the end of the day, artificial intelligence is not good or not bad. It depends what you make out of it. And whenever you solve a pain point for your customer, independently if that pain point is online or on site, then it's a good thing. So we have to work. I think we did a little step forward with artificial intelligence. As you said, the platforms, they are offering some good tools, and I know companies in the industry, they really start thinking about it. How can we implement artificial intelligence? What could we actually do with the data? We have to enhance the service. So that is a very, very good and very important step. The super groundbreaking application didn't drop out so far. So I still have some pain when I go to online events or even when I go to on-site events, but we are on a way. And I think we speeded up that way into the right direction. And this is something I'm very happy about.
Gunnar?
I agree with Tesi. Artificial intelligence is definitely the next big thing. It's not just a new piece of technology or thinking, but it's a huge step and a completely new concept which will bring great benefits to our industry if we use it right. And I also agree with Tesi that we can see at the moment artificial intelligence pieces in the solutions we are using at the moment. So if a matchmaking provider uses artificial intelligence, or a registration provider is using it, but still there is a missing concept overall to bring all this information together. And if you see the typical situation at an organizer where you see what can we learn out of the profiles we are having, they are completely struggling because they have all these different information they cannot bring together. They cannot tell what visitor used the exhibitor directory in what way, what searches have been made, what app usage have been made, what was the sequence of stand visits have been made. So all these things are in different systems, but you need to bring it together with a strategic initiative to make use out of it. And I can only encourage the industry to hire people and to hold people in their company, because we see at the moment they are leaving. It's a complete another problem, by the way, in our industry at the moment. But to hold the people and to have really good data scientists and AI specialists in their teams to make new solutions. That's the big key.
Guys, I've never heard you so much agree with each other. Look what confinement has done to you. That's frightening.
Here we go.
Wait for the next on-site event.
Wait for the next on-site event. Exactly.
Mshari, I'm sorry if I pronounced it bad. It's Mshari. I think in the chat is saying that AI could support our industry in a lot of different ways, like floor planning or even marketing. It's true that we've seen use of AI in these tools, but it's almost all the time for matchmaking / recommendation.
I had one point where I want to disagree with Gunnar. Can I step in quickly that we have this great moment here as well?
Yes, we can just make one up for after. But my question here is,
I think Gunnar just said we need good data scientists, and he's totally wrong with that. He's totally wrong. It's actually, no, I think for sure we need good data scientists to work out good artificial intelligence services, but we can start much easier than that, because when you think about data scientists, I know that many companies stick their noses over massive data sheets and then ask themselves the question, what can I do with this data? But you could start much easier. You could simply go to your visitors and say, where's your pain point? What do you not like with my show? So what is it when a visitor is stepping on a stand and the visitor wants to network or the visitor wants to browse? How can I solve it? So you can start with reality and you can really identify the pain points of your target groups, and then you can stick your nose over the data sheet and say, which data do I have to solve this pain point? So artificial intelligence is a very nice exercise to talk to your team, even if they have no idea about data, and a good starting point as well.
Guna, you want to react before I ask the next question?
Leave it.
Okay, so we have at least one point where you disagree. So I was saying that we've seen AI being used mostly, if not exclusively, for matchmaking / recommendation engines. Do you have examples where you've seen AI being used in a meaningful way in online events for something else?
I have ideas. Gunnar, you go first, please.
We if it's done right, it can be a real help in your classical CRM approaches if you're dealing with your exhibitors by helping you to profile the most, let's say, the most important leads and rank them and make appointments, and so many things who can be automated out of your huge data jungle. You can use it there. So for your sales process, it's a big help. And one other example is for our own solution, which we do for the contact tracing due to the pandemic, because we need to show how the visitors went over the booths and what was the dwell time there, and we also use artificial intelligence and machine learning for that.
Okay, quickly, when we asked the audience last time if artificial intelligence was going to change our industry dramatically, 70 or 69% said yes. Let's ask now what you think, you people who are online with us now. So it's about 65% think that it's going to change our industry, but it hasn't been the revolution that some are expecting. We are getting close to the time now, but there's a question that went into the chat at the very beginning from Stuart, and I'd like to submit it to both of you. If you had to say, what are the important elements of a digital strategy for an organizer in 2021? And you had to say 3 of them. Which one would you think? That's a very hard question, I think, but Gunnar, which one would you think they would be?
I would say, first of all, integration. Coming away from isolated small solution pieces to a let's say data infrastructure. Second, strategy, and a strategy which is completely backed up by the top management of the company. And if I should choose a third one, I would see that all the HR initiatives and the appropriate culture in the company is at least as crucial. So culture, data platform, and strategy.
Tesi?
I could make my life easy by just saying I agree, I take the same 3. But I add...
No, you have to pick at least 2 different.
Yeah, absolutely. I say one thing that is would be really a game changer for our industry, and this is seeing digital not as a competition to on-site anymore. So just ending the whole discussion on-site or digital, is one better than the other, is one thing and a threat or a danger for the other. Stop this whole discussion and see one as an opportunity, one format as an opportunity for the other format, and come up with a strategy so that both formats enriches each other. This is the first one. The second comes back to the HR point. I think the biggest blockade we have in our industry is we are used to work on a service that is an annual product cycle. So trade shows happen once a year, and we are used to sending big invoices. An invoice of below 1,000 euros would be a ridiculous small invoices. If we want to make money with digital, then we need to get, or parts of our organization need to get used to a product cycle that is not much longer than 5 minutes, because very often digital products have short product cycles. And we need to get excited about the idea that then product costs not 20 cents, but it costs 21 cents. So we need to go into the micro payment, understand extremely small product life cycles, understand micro payment, and embedding that into our organizations. That would be a step forward as well. And apart from that, I take all other points Gunnar said as well.
Okay, so all things that we are definitely not used to do. So just to finish the discussion, because we are getting close to the hour now, all of us who are working in strategy, at least part-time, one of our roles is to try to guess what will happen in the future, to position our companies as best as possible on that playground, or that battleground, some would call it. And we do things like the big debate, where we try to guess what will happen. And one of the things I would like to ask the audience is that we've all tried to make prediction every time, all the time, every year. Do you think that the prediction that we had made in the past, not just us, but also you, have been completely overturned by COVID, or was it just an acceleration of what we had predicted would happen anyway? And that's the last poll I'd like to make, if Pascal can send it. So it's about 50-50. So very difficult to make a case here, because some of you think that, yes, it changed everything, and some of you think, no, it changed nothing. So I think we're going to have to end on that note. I'd like to thank you. If you have a last word, Tesi, maybe, to finish it? To conclude?
Thank you very much. Thanks, Stephan, for moderating. Thanks, Gunnar, for agreeing with me this time so much. And we are all three from the Digital Innovation Committee from UFI. We will continue working. So thanks for everybody for joining. Please support the Digital Innovation Committee by sending, if you have seen anything positive, anything negative, anything you think is worth sharing with the wider community. That is the mission of our community. So please, even in this time, stay safe, but also stay connected, and see you very soon, guys. And I think now I hand over to Nick. Is it fine?
Yeah, brilliant.
Maybe just Nick, before you start, Gunnar has a last word to say before we close it.
Yeah,
just thank you.
Use the digital innovation group of UFI. Use us. Let's keep the exchange of ideas at a high level. I think we all can only profit from this idea exchange, and try and keep on convincing your top management how important digital initiatives are to be successful in the future, to have a solid basis for all the things yet to come.
Yes, thank you. As I often say, in these hard times for industry, sharing is caring. So now I hand it back to you, Nick. Thank you. And thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Stephan. Thank you, Tessa. Thank you, Gunnar. I put a link to the Digital Innovation Committee page on the UFI website. Yeah, absolutely. Please do get in touch with us. So I've just got a couple of slides to show you. If Pascal, you could put those up. So next week we have our next UFI Connects, which in many ways will follow on from this, because we're going to talk about the customer value of exhibitions. We've got Laura McCartney, the head of exhibitor experience in EMEA from Informa, and Liz Irving, head of marketing technology and customer experience from Clarion in the US. So that should be a really interesting session. Really looking forward to that one. You can see that. You can register for that and all the recordings at ufi.org/connect, UFI Connects. So this is just very briefly a fellowship program we launched at the end of last year. This is for people that either are in between jobs or are not with an UFI member. If you're an UFI member, if you work for any of an UFI member organization, of course you have access to our community, our data, our research, etc. If you're not, this is a way that people can stay in touch and have discounted access to various UFI products and services. Next, please, Pascal. Also the ETT Club, which some of you may or may not know, which was launched by Tesi, I believe, at the beginning of last year, which UFI is now partnering with. If you are an UFI member, you can get free gold membership. There's a limited number. I'm not sure how many yet, but if you react quickly to this, I'm sure you will be fine. Please look at exhibitionthinktank.com. We have various sessions coming up starting next week with one of their leadership sprints. Finally, I'd like to thank our diamond sponsors, TSEB, Qatar, Shenzhen World, and Freeman. Thank you all for joining us wherever you are. I saw a couple of people driving. I know Matt Cohen was driving, but apparently he's going to Barnard Castle, so it's perfectly legal. So thank you all. Thanks to our moderators once again, and see you all next week. And just to play out the song, on the intro we had Stephan's view looking back on 2020. I asked Tesi for a song that would reflect how he feels about this year, 2021. So to play us out, Tesi's song.